Hey, I just finished reading your posts about keeping a journal, and I wanted to comment. And this time I decided what I would do is just tell you about what I thought were the most interesting things you had to say about keeping a journal. Before I do that, I want to say this. I want to just remind you that in no way should you consider that list of journal prompts to be what's required of you from week to week. You're welcome to keep your journal however you like. If you're a person who gets stuck, sometimes you might try those exercises. So I just want you to remember that I'm not commanding you to use that list. Rather, what I'm doing is providing it as a help if you want it. And I wanted you to try some of those prompts this week, but feel free to use it however you want. Okay, the other thing I wanted to say is that I noted that only a handful of you commented on each other's posts. I don't know if that's an oversight on my part to tell you that, to not have told you that you need to comment on each other's posts, but I'm telling you now, for the future, don't worry about it anymore, but for the future you need to comment on at least 2 other posts in the whole class discussions. And when I set up writing groups, which I intend to do soon, you should comment on all the people's work in your writing group. Okay, so here's some of the things that you said about writing journals that I thought were really interesting. Okay, Kip cited that idea that Didion used about the journal being a place for bits of the mind's string too short to use. And I thought that was really it's a beautiful metaphor, and I thought I like that you cited it, because I think sometimes we think that when we sit down to write, we should just get started writing whatever. But sometimes the journal is a place to keep little scraps that might come in handy later, or they might lead to something else. Okay, Jonathan said, like many angry and obnoxious youth, I began to write poetry. As a poet, I loved that. Laura said, alas, I cannot find within myself the discipline to commit to a long-term relationship with a journal, no matter how quickly I fall in love. I think this speaks to all of us who have a particular love of a particular kind of artifact for a journal. Losa said, I believe I'll start out by writing a memory, and I just want to endorse that. That's a really great way to start with the journal. Samantha noted that she usually writes things and either deletes or throws them away right after she writes them. And I just want to say, Samantha, stop that. Natasha says, I like to write down random words I hear and then look up the definition, then write something with that word that related to her, whether it be how she felt that day or an experience she had. Another really good thing to do. Leander noted that she resists the whole prompt idea. Just another opportunity for me to reiterate, that's fine. Needy Elise talked about how she could expand on journal writing, and she talked about a particular memory which was tied to a particular event. And so coming back to that idea of writing about a memory, I just want to endorse that. It's such a good thing to do, especially if you can talk about it through concrete details. Those are so evocative and help you to remember, but also ultimately, if you decide to write more about it, they help other people to sense what you're sensing. Erin said that she'd like to start writing just whatever came to mind instead of just having a specific goal, which I also endorse as a good practice for journal writing. Carly noted that she would probably write down daydreams. Andrea said she was going to start keeping some sort of notebook with her at all times. I think I wrote more when I followed that same practice. Holly said she liked the idea that Didion mentioned about keeping a journal about how an experience felt to her, or what might have happened rather than just the stark reality of an event. Chelsea talks about how she loves new notebooks and is very picky about them. Agreed. I love Moleskines. Troy said he thinks that sometimes what he writes only makes sense to him or only means something to him, and I think that's true, and the journal's a great place for that kind of writing. Justin noted that he didn't usually use a journal because his ideas needed to stick with him like that song you couldn't forget, which I just thought was hilarious. Mercedes said, I could write anything I ever wanted because she knew she would be the only person reading it. Another great way to think about a journal. Kristen said, I'm going to stick to the normal way of writing a journal, but practice writing stories and learning different techniques. Also great. And then Anne-Marie talked about writing scraps of dreams that she could recall, and Jane said she'd like to try writing more about the odd, quirky things that she sees and hears during the day. Just want to endorse all these and suggest that you make the journal your own and useful to you.